It's kind of humbling for me to sit here with my son, sit here in the audience listening to my wife today. It defines who we really are as people of this great territory. But Salish, I truly believe I've known Salish as an individual for generations. When I speak of generations, I need to mention our past ancestors. I truly believe if they were here today, they'd be crying for the Salish. Our Salish is kind of tired. It needs help. That's my belief. You know, I've been on the water for 50 plus years now. I still participate in fishing. The first Salish speaker series I wanted to talk about 5 generations. But we always need to remember our past leaders, past ancestors, because they're worried, they're praying for us to continue to practice our way of life. You know, it's amazing to see how the Salish has evolved in my time, through my lens. And I truly wished everybody could have seen it when I seen it at its best. You know, I've seen it at its best. I think I'm seeing it at its worst. I hate to say that, but, you know, it's the truth. You know, sometimes the truth is really hard to imagine. The truth is hard for people to understand. But if you go out to the Salish today, you'll see it's tired. It's our belief, though, in our family, that we still need to have that belief it's always going to come back. We were always told growing up that we need to believe in the salmon. If we don't believe in the salmon, who are we as Laktamish people? Everybody says they're from Lummi. I say I'm from Laktamish. The story of Laktamish. I'm not trying to correct my son or anything. We're 2 different people, yeah, but you know, we've had the same teachers. I truly believe that. We need to continue to believe in what our elders have told us and taught us. But anyways, you know, the Salish, I always give our biologists, our scientists in our tribe a hard time, because they say, what is the condition of the Salish? And I ask these people, have you been out to the Salish, or do you just read about it? You know, it's different if you go experience something or study it and read it. It's 2 different things, yeah? You know, it's really hard for me to really tell you what the Salish is, because a lot of it's personal. You know, it's mine and it's nobody else's, because our grandfather and our great-grandmother talked about, you're part of that water, you're part of the Salish. Your family's the salmon. You know, I know you heard the story from Chief Salish about the salmon woman. True stories, true legends. He talked about the orca whale. You know, we all had a different version of the orca whale. Our family's version of the orca whale is a little bit different, but it means the same in the end. We had a different story. Here in our community, we're not one culture. For some particular reason, people believe we're one culture in Lummi, Laktamish. But if you look at the history, if you go back to the year 400, you know, there was one house here. Eventually, there became about 18 homes in this territory, which we resided in. Our people, our families. You know, family law was part of the Salish. It was the true culture of who we were. I was just telling my friend from the East Coast, when we talk about family law, the elders came out fishing amongst us younger people, and they were able to choose when to set out or where to set out. It was unwritten law. And today it's a little bit different for some particular reason. I guess it's the evolution of assimilation. I shouldn't say that, but is it true? It may be true in some other people's lenses. But Salish, how I practice sovereignty in the Salish of who we are as people, I am able to fish with my son. But more importantly, I'm able to fish with our grandkids. Our grandson Hunter came out fishing with us the other year, halibut fishing. And so, we weren't having great luck, and Hunter stood up on the deck and he said, "Come on, halibut." And wouldn't you know, a halibut came up. So, that's that power of the people, of who we really are as Indigenous people, Lactamish people. So every time he said that, a halibut came up and landed on the deck. That's true power of who we are as Indigenous people. He thought that fish to come up, so it came up. And I was able to witness that, that true gift of who we are as Indigenous people. But that was Hunter's story. It's always a blessing to be with him on the water. We talk about the rain and the thunder and lightning when we're on the water, what it represents to us as Native American people. So, I guess I'll move on to Tim. Tim was still going to school. We were really blessed, Laurel and I. Her father lived with us for a number of years. And so Tim would go fishing in August, daytime fishing. Claude would be out there working in the shed, and Tim would go fishing, come back, unload 25, 30 king salmon, be gone 2 or 3 hours. Every day he was doing this, and finally Laurel's dad said, "What the hell's going on here? He's coming in. He could have stayed out and made more money." So I kind of asked him what was going on, and his response was, "I'm saving it for the next cycle." I've never thought about that, but Tim thought about that gift that we can possess. So, that's part of the story of who we are. But me, I'll move to me. When there was fish, I caught as much as I could. I was probably wrong doing that, but I had that opportunity. I used to spend 22 hours a day on the water fishing because it gave me that power, yeah. It wasn't my power. It was the power of the water and that true power of the salmon. We were able to do that because I think that's who we are, right? But it was a testimony for me we can do anything we put our mind to. So for me nowadays, I'm trying to put my mind into healing the water, healing the Salish Sea in my own way. I have family members that feed the water on a daily basis still today. I have family members that speak to the water on a daily basis. That's who we are as Lactamish people. We have to believe in it. But you guys can believe in whatever you want, yeah? But that's our belief. Just a little bit of history of what's going on today. I was really blessed in my lifetime to fish with my father, herring. In the 70s, the herring were so abundant here in our community. It was amazing how much we were able to land. I blame the state of Washington for the depletion of herring. I think I blame the 3 piers at Cherry Point for the depletion of herring. Where the hot water leaves those 3 piers, it destroys the eelgrass. It destroys whatever lives in there. That's my belief. But we all have our own belief, yeah. So I was able to harvest with our father. He was a tough man. He was a lot tougher than me. But he was trying to teach me something, I think. Then I need to go to my grandfather, Casimir Ballew. This was a true blessing for me. I lived with him in the old fishing village. Some of you people probably know what the old fishing village is down along the Nooksack River. There was 200 or 300 homes down there. My grandfather, his teaching was a lot different than my father's. He didn't go off the clock. His clock was the tide. He said, we go out and wait for the tide to go out. We wait for the tide to come in. That was his clock. No real worries. One of the things I did wrong from my grandfather's teaching, he said, never ever use profanity on the boat, yeah? Because the fish can hear you. And so I was kind of, I did use profanity at times, yeah? And, it was, I have to be honest with myself. But, it was just one of those things that I didn't grasp that in time because he only told me once, our grandfather. Kind of old teaching, yeah? So I remember I did quit cussing on the boat. This was probably 7, 8 years ago. We were going out halibut fishing, and we told my nephew, I said, you have to bite the herring to give us good luck. So he bit the head off and spit it out. Then he started cussing around. And I made the mistake and I used the profanity. And he says, I quit. And I couldn't figure out, why are you quitting? Because you swore at me. But those are some of the teachings of our people, yeah? Never use profanity when you're on the boat because they can hear us. Our great-grandmother told us, don't go look for salmon, talk to the salmon, and they'll talk back to you. So, some of these teachings, I still try to talk to my 2 grandboys about these things, what I've been told. I didn't invent anything. I listened to what people like my father, my grandfather, my great-grandmother told me. I never invented the wheel here. If I did, I should have patented it, right? I wouldn't have to fish. But it's a Salish Sea. We have to have hope. It's something that we all need. And I guess I'll move to my great-grandmother. Her family came from Jamestown, Sklallam. I don't know if anybody knows where this is. Her family paddled in a canoe to come to this territory, to Lummi, in a canoe when they were very young. And listening to our great-grandmother, she spoke about the Salish Sea. She said, I used to jump in a canoe and travel 10 days to gather. And I was looking at our grandma really, and I said, 10 days, Grandma, are you real? And she goes, that's just the way it was for us. They understood the Salish Sea, they understood time. More importantly, they understood what it provided. The Salish Sea is just it's a supporting area for us. We've always been here, we'll always be here. As Tim mentioned, the Point Elliott Treaty, that just helped to support who we really were. It continued to give us who we really were. You know, then the Bolt decision came around, and that was another different federal policy that was a tough thing to understand in the beginning. You know, the Bolt decision gave opportunity. You know, I could remember down along the Nooksack River, the old fishermen said, that's the end of fishing. And I couldn't figure out, what are they talking about? We get 50%. But these old men were telling me that's the end of fishing. And it was hard for me to believe, you know, these people that had been fishing years and years and years. But, you know, maybe it came true. Politics came into our life. But, you know, we're still here. And I truly believe we're still going to be here generations from now. But, you know, it's the Salish Sea for me. It's a true blessing. It's part of who I am. I would really like to talk about what my grandfather told me about the Salish Sea, but it was personal, yeah? Personal things that really took place in his lifetime. He didn't have a fast boat like we do today. I mean, Tim's boat goes 30 knots. My grandfather's boat went 3 knots. So, you know, they seen something different than what we see today. But I better let my elder speak. Normally, my wife's like this when I'm speaking, and I'm trying not to look at her. But anyways, if you guys are really interested in the real story of the Salish Sea, you have to come to me and ask me questions about what my grandfather told me, what our orca whales represents, what the sea pigeon represents. More importantly, what the salmon represents. We were told there's one salmon that transforms us. And I asked my son that a couple of years ago, and he said, it's the hooligan. The hooligan's this big, yeah. It's a smelt. But that's not the most powerful salmon to us. But, you know, these are stories that have been told to me from elders. So if you want to really know about the true stories, you have to come to me. This is just kind of a drive-through culture for you guys on looking through my lens. You know, I met this lady here a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know she was a biologist, and I made fun of the biologist. They don't know nothing. And sometimes they overspeak, but please go out to the Salish Sea and really listen to it. I hope you do. But I want to thank you guys for coming to Lummi. This is our home territory. Governor Stevens put us in this place. We were under duress, but we're still here. But I want to thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Salish Sea, please pray for it. Please speak to it. Not one person can do it. But think about it. And we'll pray for you visitors as well. Thank you very much.